The simplest way I think you can express this message is that there is only life, and there is life alone. But as soon as you speak of it, as soon as we talk about life, then we're telling stories about life rather than life. And the stories are also life. But when I say there's life and life alone, it's just in contrast, you could say, to how life is normally experienced by most human beings who say there are two aspects of life. There's life and there's my life. And my life is a separate life, separate from life. And there's another, not only is it separate from life, not only am I separate from life, I actually own the life that I've claimed as mine in separation. So they're the two. I'll use the word illusion, but illusion isn't really strong enough. You know, it's just not how life is, but it is how life feels when the conviction that I am separate from life and have a separate life, when that conviction is felt almost unquestionably by most human beings to be true and real, it becomes the center of what I call reality. And the rest of life, which is all there is separate from me. I am detached. I am separate. I am alone. And therefore I go out and seek completion. I seek the wholeness that the sense of I am longs for, but it is itself that's created the illusion of that separation. And the great frustration is, of course, I then go out and seek completion via myself, for myself, by myself. When in fact, in actuality, there is no separation. And the one that is seeking to become whole is the very illusion of that lack of wholeness, lack of completion, that sense of there's something missing, there's something I can find, there's something that I can get, and then I'll be okay. When I am is the sense of not okayness. So there's the great frustration for all seekers. And here that's not forgotten at all. Frustration doesn't even come close. I mean, it initially is frustrating, but if the desire is great enough that the frustration doesn't stop the seeking, then it can easily go from frustration to despair. Because what the hell am I meant to do? I've heard this message that there's nothing that I can do because there's no one to do it. And yet I can't help the compulsion to still follow that desire for wholeness, that desire for completion. And as you've heard me say many times, there's good news, and they're the same news. No, there is nothing you can do. and you can do anything. But anything you do obviously simply confirms the one who can do and bring about change for itself, which is the illusion itself. So, not surprisingly, people can get really pissed off with this message. It might sound initially really attractive, and then the seeker gets excited. I can remember the excitement of hearing this message and go, oh yeah, because it resonated so clearly that, yeah, that's it. Undoubtedly, I didn't even doubt it. And so then I went in search of it. I was just fortunate that there weren't endless Zoom meetings by human beings who talk about this. Otherwise, I'd just be doing what you're doing now. But, and of course, there's nothing wrong with the seeking itself is not wrong. It's inevitable. If there's a sense of self that feels incomplete, not good enough, an emptiness where I should be. And the terrible news for self is, of course, the emptiness is the reality. You could say that hole that you feel, if you've had a sense of that there is that incompleteness, which is the emptiness. Which can't be known, which can't be, you could say it could be felt, but even that's a bit strong. That's real in the sense of there isn't actually a you. There is the emptiness that maybe the sense of self feels. And of course, self is terrified of the emptiness because I don't exist in that. That's the bit that I want to fill. I want to fill that hole. And of course, there's endless ways that self can fill that. You could call it longing. That longing for completeness. I can fill it in endless ways. Pleasure, relationships, material gain, spiritual gain, knowledge, understanding. All of those things are precious to me. They feel as though I'm still completing myself. I'm still moving towards some end goal of completion. There is no end goal. There is no completion to come. This is, and in that you are wholly complete. But you're wholly complete without you. The you that you've believed to be real and substantial and powerful and clever and plus all the negatives that you've applied to yourself as well. All of that is illusion. All of it. There isn't a someone inside what you have called yourself that is running the show and can make things happen and can find completion. If you've made that your ultimate aim, your great objective is to be at one with, well, there isn't one to be at one with. There isn't a one outside, and there isn't a one inside that could become one with the one outside. Both inside and outside are empty. And empty can sound nihilistic, and yet it's not. Empty is also full. It doesn't make any sense at all. It doesn't need to make sense. I've just got an alert on my screen that says, low systems resources may affect your audio quality. Is the sound okay?
Sounds fine.
Sounds fine. Okay, that's fine. Yeah. So without that longing for completion, then everything, whether desired or not, whether pleasant or unpleasant, whether seemingly helpful or unhelpful, whether beautiful or ugly, everything has an okayness that is indescribable. I like the phrase okayness because it's very neutral. So it's not good or bad. So the things that would have been labeled, oh, that's really bad, well, that's great, that's really good. Everything has an okayness that it would never have for me, because it's always in relation to how it would be for me. So is this what's happening? Is this what I want? Is this helpful to me? Is this conducive to my, my goals? Is this going to help me get where I want to get to? Well, when there's no movement, when there is no going forward, when all movement is seen to be equally still as it is moving, everything that happens is equally seen to, not seen, seen's the wrong word, but I haven't got a right word. So it's obvious that it's, as well as what's happening, it's not happening. Then life is just okay as it is. And the most simple way of expressing why life is okay as it is because it is as it is. And it's obvious it couldn't be any other way. And why couldn't it be another way? Because it is as it is. Rather than how it could be. There is no way life could be. That's the illusion. Life could not be otherwise. And life couldn't be better or worse until I tell the story that it could. So the blackbird singing on, you're sitting, the sun is shining as it was today, and you're sitting out in the garden and you hear a blackbird in the tree. The blackbird is not singing about tomorrow or about today and how today should be different than it actually is, how it should be better. The blackbird's not singing about yesterday and how shit his life has been and how life, life could have dealt him a better deal. He's not talking about his hopes and dreams about when he will be complete in some incredible enlightened future. He's not singing for any reason at all. He's singing though. And human beings are exactly like the blackbird. What you've called you sings his song. It's just not your song. There isn't a singer inside the blackbird and there isn't a singer inside you. So you could call this life a dance or a song without a singer or a dancer. Just singing and dancing. Oh, that's quite poetic. But what do? We hear a singer, not a blackbird. But we hear a human being singing and we love the song. We love the way that song sounds. And so we make the singer special. They're special. Well, they're just doing what they do. And then we hear another singer, which we can't stand. And we say, they're a shit singer. Well, they're just singing the song. If you've ever been to karaoke, this is very pertinent to a karaoke evening if you've been to one. Oh, and we've got Heidi here, who is a beautiful singer. And but if you go to karaoke, oh, aren't the audience so judgmental? When everyone is equally beautiful, whether you like it or not, everyone's just singing how they sing. But of course, as me's, we have standards. That's what really self is about, measurement, isn't it? Measuring, putting someone on a scale, putting each human being on a continuum of how worthy they are, how special they are, or how unworthy and ordinary. And then, of course, at the other end, we have evil and disgusting. And there's nothing wrong with that. But of course, it is dreadful. It's painful because in that judgment, that there's someone in there there is a singer who is dreadful. Whereas the reality is very simple. There's a song, there's singing, and you don't like it. But how often do you hear that said? You don't hear that. You go, shit singer. And this isn't about the end of judgments. I mean, judgments happen, but without me and the weight that I put on judgments is really important to me, to be able to categorize good, evil, gifted, untalented. Me loves those categorizing, and this isn't saying that without me those abilities to judge and categorize they end. They don't, but they're much lighter because I give weight to those. I give importance to those, significance, and they have no significance at all. In fact, it's not your liking and disliking. Disliking and liking just happens naturally. I'm sure you've had a situation where you wanted to like something really badly. Say it's a friend of yours. A friend of yours shows you their artwork and they're really proud of it. And they show you it. And you take one look at it and you're just appalled at how dreadful it is. And no matter how much you wanted to like it, there's no liking it. Well, that's nature. And really, this message is about living life naturally. Without all the expectations and the impositions that me puts on life. And nearly all spiritual, well, certainly Buddhist spiritual traditions and Hindu to a degree, and other Eastern traditions, they have self as the source of all suffering. And self isn't the source of all suffering, just most of it. You're not the source of all suffering, just most of it. There's plenty of natural suffering in life. But nearly all of that natural suffering is just exacerbated and amplified by me saying how terrible this suffering is and how it shouldn't be happening to me. And my stories of why is it happening to me? And of course, I extend me into all of those I include as mine. So my family, my loved ones, my friends, my close friends, people I care about, they're the extended me, you could say. And so it shouldn't be happening to them either, of course. And by suffering, I really mean pain and loss. And pain and loss are integral to life, aren't they? They just are. This isn't about a denial of any of that. Okay, that's enough of that. So has anyone got a question they'd like to ask about that or anything else? Or just anything you'd like to share? Hi, Hans.
Hey, Tim, I just have to tell you, it is just so good to hear it. Just to hear it. Wow, to hear the song. To hear the song, yeah. Wow.
That's this bird's song, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. Wow.
It's oh, thanks, Hans.
No, I have to tell, it's really amazing, really. Yummy.
Yummy. Thanks, Hans.
Yeah, thank you very, very much.
You're welcome.
I just said I love that these talks. I love this Monday hour, really. Whoa.
Thanks, Hans.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice to hear.
Yeah. Doesn't matter whatever happens. It's just touching it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it just comes out, Hans.
Yeah. Yeah. What to say? Not more than just this. Thank you. Thank you, Tim.
Thanks, Hans. I appreciate it.
Tim,
Yes, Darren.
in the chat, Kirag or Shirag, I think, he
Oh, yeah.
says that he heard that Krishnamurti, J. Krishnamurti and Yuji, both on YouTube, according to both of them, that when the self falls away, that's the end of imagination.
Yeah.
Thereafter, they only had verbal thoughts, no pictorial thought. They lost the capacity to close eyes and imagine a picture, any picture. Is it common with all liberated beings? Shirag asks.
Sure, the simple answer to that was, how the fuck would I know? So first it's implying that there are liberated beings. And Yuji, certainly, I don't know about Jiddu so much, but Yuji would definitely say there aren't any liberated beings. I read enough of I loved it. I loved his book, The Anti-Guru. You could say maybe that's my role model, kind of, to be an anti-guru rather than a guru. But but how is it here? Yeah, and much less imagination. But the inability, I'm not sure about that. And can I have pictorial thoughts? Yeah, definitely. Can there be visual thoughts? I don't know, when you were at school, they did learning styles of learning. And I've got I'm a visual learner. That means that I imagine images rather than linguistically. So I see pictures. And yeah, they're still seeing pictures. Why would that be any different? But imagination in terms of daydreaming about a future, no, that is dead. And that's quite a loss, you could say. But that's one of the reasons it feels much more spacious and empty and peaceful. You think how much, because of course there's fantasizing about the future, but most of that is anxiety. Most of our fantasies about the future are negative rather than positive. Certainly for a lot of human beings, that's the case. And so freedom from that, which is the end of imagination, if you like, negative imagination about, oh, that might happen, oh yeah, I've got to try and do this to avoid that. Freedom from that is one of the reasons we could call this liberation. I'm loath to call myself a liberated being, though. That's a slippery slope. Because it would suggest that, yeah, you come to this liberated beings meetings, you too. And so the message isn't that there are liberated beings and non-liberated beings. There are only liberated beings, most of whom don't realize they're liberated, and so are looking for it. That's a better way of saying it. I don't know if that's any good, Chirag.
How does this work?
Yeah,
Ellen.
thank you so much, team. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome.
And Ellen has a hand up as well.
Yeah.
Ellen, yeah.
Yeah,
Hi, Ellen.
Yuji would never say that he was liberated, never said, I'm liberated, never, ever.
No,
and
I wouldn't.
He did have a really dramatic shift and
Yeah.
described it in this book. But it was never, he said you wouldn't want it. I remember you said this one day, you wouldn't touch this with a barge pole.
Yeah, he did say that.
Because it isn't anything you think it is and expect it to be, whatever it is.
Oh.
And then also he said one day to me, he actually said this, he said, I'm really sorry I said the natural state, because it gives people
yeah.
the idea that it is enlightened or some state that you're going to get into.
Yeah.
The state.
Yeah.
It's a falling away of everything every man, woman, and child ever thought, felt, and experienced, like flushed out of your system. And yet then you're just like an animal to him. He said it's like a machine. Sometimes he'd say it's like a smooth functioning machine, you know.
Yeah.
Just this, that's his way of saying things, but he never wanted to give the impression that he was enlightened at all. He couldn't
No,
stand.
he didn't.
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
No, and I can understand why he regretted saying the natural state, because of course, although this is natural, and in a way, it feels more natural than feeling me. It's not a state, because a state sounds as though it's some continuous way of being, and it doesn't feel like that at all.
I guess you could say it's like as natural as a dog, you know, walking down the road or whatever, you know.
Yeah. And he famously said, "Why are you taking any notice of these words? They mean no more than a dog barking."
Right. Yeah.
Which I always like that as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or a bird singing, of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks, Alice. So you met him, did you?
Yeah, I knew Yuji, and I traveled with him for about 8 months in the last part of his being here on this earth. And I knew him, I met him in the 90s, early 90s.
Right.
So, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, his writing, that book, Anti-Guru, had quite an effect here.
I don't know if he didn't write that. Was that more like about him?
I think it's about him, yeah.
He never
But it had
wrote. He never wrote.
I don't think he wrote it. No.
Yeah, no, he didn't. Everything like that's read is something like people would transcribe what he conversations he had with people.
Yeah, that's what it would be, transcription. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ellen.
You're welcome. Thank you.
No, he wouldn't say. No. One of the things that's really obvious in this is that there's only liberation. So there is no becoming. This is the end of becoming. That's the sense of liberation, freedom from the ability to become, freedom from the power or the sense that you have the power to become what you desire to become.
Well, what always, I'm sorry, just one more. What always interested me, because there was always a sense I had when I started seeking that it was about no self. I don't know. I didn't know if I put it in those, but it was a sense that I had that the self. Yeah. And I always went for these crazy wisdom gurus, you know, like Trungpa and, you know, Adi Da for a while, you know, just. But when I found Yuji, that was like, you know, that's it. But it doesn't end the seeking to come across that. There's a sense that it was like being like a moth attracted to the fire, you know, but it doesn't end anything. But I just thought it was always interesting because there was another person, Bernadette Roberts, who was a Catholic. She was a contemplative Carmelite nun at one point, and left the order. And then she had, I know that because I met her and I spent time with her too, but also I am absolutely sure the self fell away, and she describes it, that this was the end, the self, and exactly in so many ways the way Yuji did, but she continued to be not a Carmelite, but a Catholic, you know. She didn't stop being a Catholic. And Yuji would never go into a church or, you know, temple or any, you know, he was like, that was over. But I have no doubt that they were both completely gone, you know. And, you know, it just, so I thought when I discovered you, first it was Tony, I just, on YouTube, of course, you know, I thought it was interesting when actually other people started coming out of his, you know, being around him, using the same way of speaking, the same jargon, the same, and I find you refreshing because you don't do it as much. But it was, did you stop moving? Okay, I may have lost you. I think I lost you. Anyway, I'll shut up.
looks like we lost him. Yeah, his signal was bad earlier. He'll be back, I'm sure. I'm sure he'll be back soon.
Yeah.
Ah, that's a shame. I was really enjoying that, Ellen.
Yeah, it was interesting. Yeah, so that he knows about Yuji a lot, and yeah.
You should keep saying what you were saying. Keep going.
I don't know what you're sort of moderating, Darren. It's up to you.
Yeah, carry on if you have more to say, definitely.
There's wanting
I
to.
think Tim's talking. Can you tell him that we can't hear him?
Yeah, good to know whether what happened.
I haven't got a signal from Tim. Does anyone else see Tim? Oh, there he is.
No.
Oh, you're muted. You're muted, Tim.
He's muted. You have to unmute.
Yeah, come on, Tim. It's about time you learn that you do have to unmute yourself.
Okay.
You'd think I'd have got that by now. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, Helen. I could just see Tim
No,
talking away.
I was talking, and then he was gone.
Yeah, well done, Anne.
Not moving.
Thanks, Anne. I'm a bit of a slow learner.
Anyway, it's just interesting to me that everybody, whatever, there are some people that whatever this is may have happened or not happened, whether, but there's something that just is different in every expression, and that is something you just said, that if this happens to you, he said, what comes out will not be like anything anybody else says or does. It will be unique to you. That's all, or unique in that sense.
And I really like that, because it's very obvious that if there is liberation, it's the character that's liberated. So the character the speaking just is so free, then speaking just happens. You know?
Or not. Maybe somebody just
and if the
off.
Well, this character here is gobby and likes to talk, so there's a lot of talking. Other characters, will be shy and introverted and don't have nothing to say about it. There's plenty of times I've thought it would be better if I never open my mouth again, but if there's anyone to listen, then I'll speak.
That's right. That's exactly what it is.
It is that simple.
Yeah.
Oh,
he said
God.
that too. I wouldn't be talking except people come and they ask questions.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Ellen.
You're welcome. Thank you, Tim. I enjoy having that, this contact. It's nice.
Yeah, that's nice. Thank you. Did Jahara want to say something? No.
Tim, I could.
Hi, Scott.
Hi, good to see you. I totally concur that this is just fun to be together, because there's so much energy in this topic, but it's not for anybody. So we're not putting it in the bank and saying, oh, I'm accumulating something. I'm just enjoying the energy. One of the things that Ellen talking brought out in me is, I have a guru, and I suspect a lot of us do. And what's happening is, it seems like we're going from this idea of there being a special person to this being normal. And we're giving up the idea of anybody being special. And for someone like me who's been, devotional for a long time, that's not easy.
No.
But you realize, and now when I talk to my friends that are still in it, when they talk about someone being special, I realize it's underneath, they're talking about them being special.
Yeah, of course.
And I recognize that I'm guilty. I was way guilty of that. It was like hiding my own wanting to be special behind.
Yeah.
And
absolutely. That's quite a revelation, Scott.
Yeah, the big relief is now I can just pull out of that whole game, because it is competitive,
Yeah,
it's weirdly competitive, and it's draining, because it's almost like, because we put them on a pedestal and we say, I will one day be there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And the higher the pedestal, the more impossible it's ever going to be that we do get there.
Yeah.
And so it's almost a flagellation in a way. This idea that nobody's special is a blow to the ego, but it's also just like a relief. Like, oh, okay.
Oh, it's massive relief. It's massive relief for this is talking about massive relief for the human being.
Hmm.
And intense disappointment and disillusionment for self.
Yeah.
What feels like a great loss, the loss of all hope of ever achieving specialness. Well, me is not likely to give that up lightly.
Yeah.
It'll do anything to hang on to that just a glimmer of hope that you might even be a little bit special. Okay, I won't be like whoever you've made your master. So I won't be like Muji, or I won't be like Eckhart, or I won't be like, I don't know, whoever you're making, you know, Nisargadatta, or I don't know, whoever you're saying had it, whether they're, you know, if they're deceased, they had it, and if they're still alive, they've got it, and I want it. And because they've got it, of course, if it becomes, if the possibility that they have got it, whatever you've decided they've got, if that becomes really obvious that that's not possible, and that you've just wanted that to be so, then of course that is the death of your hope that you could ever achieve it. And that's one of the last things self would ever give up.
Yeah.
And in a sense, I'm suggesting that you won't give that up. I'm suggesting you can't give that up, but it might be taken from you.
Mhm.
Life might take it from you. Tim did not give up being himself. It's not possible. This idea of self-suicide, that I can negate myself. No, self cannot negate itself. Of course not. By trying to negate myself, I just confirm myself. It's really very simple. Of course I do. If I say I don't exist, then I exist as a non-existent me, don't I? That's just more bullshit. This is not talking about no self in replacement of self. That in itself is self telling a story of enlightenment where I will become a no self. There is no self, and equally, of course, there is no flip side to that, which is no self. They're equally bullshit stories. And both stories are for me. So most selves are trying to enhance themselves. Then a few a few selves just get hooked by this message, and then they go off seeking no self, which is the same game. It's the same game in a different clothing. It's just wrapped up differently. But it's all about some future place where I will become. There is no becoming nothing. So trying to become nothing is equally as ridiculous as trying to become something. There's neither. Yeah.
You stop reaching out for it.
Yeah.
Stop trying to touch it or define it or
it's hard to say exactly how it how it is. It's just it really felt here. It was just that all the energy, that seeking energy, that all that desire to become, just was there was nothing. And of course, that felt devastating. I mean, Yuji wasn't wrong to say this isn't what you want. No, it's not what you want. It's what there is. Now, you've spent your whole life, self has spent its entire life virtually, apart from fleeting moments where everything was just okay. Apart from those fleeting moments of okayness, it spent its entire life saying how this could be better. And working towards that. And that is the energy that we call self. There isn't a self, it's that energy of becoming, of moving away from what is to what could be, what will be, what might be, what I dream of, what I hope of, what I hope for.
But Tim, would you say that we did that, or that this character was doing that and we just grabbed onto it, to its coattails, and
No,
played
I would say
along and said, that's me, but it wasn't me ever me. It was just
no, it's
going
never
on with
me.
it. Yeah.
No, it's never me, but that's the sense of, I could say the energetic sense of being separate is the same, of going out, trying to find what it's lost, what it's missing. That's it. And that energy is the sense of self that we've called me. I've called that energy, that sense of being inside, and that sense of volition. I mean, that's the key. The key sense of me is that I'm in control, I'm powerful. I have some say over what's going on.
I'm someone, damn it.
And of course, me can't give that up. I'm really can't emphasize that enough. That's why you will have heard so many times there's nothing you can do. Well, that's not strictly true. You can do anything under the illusion that you're doing it. And I think all of that, all of that doing is okay if you want, I don't know, if you want to get a degree from university, say, it's quite useful. I would guess that without that energy, without the sense of self, there would be no one at university. Sod that for a game. Because that's all very hard work for some fantasy future where it will all be worth it. Well, you wouldn't be doing that without me, I'll tell you. Because it's all in a fantasy future where that will all be worthwhile, and I'll actually get my just rewards for that. This whole idea of a just world, that's all for me. And there's I mean, there is a hell of a lot to lose without me feeling real. It's so brutally obvious that there is no justice other than the one that I've made up. And then I collude with all the other me's about, oh, we agree on that. And of course, we mostly disagree, but there is no justice. This whole idea of a just world, or I can make the world more just, which simply means I can make it more in my own image of how I'd like it to be. It would be great if we were much more honest about that, if human beings could be. But of course, self can't be honest about that, because then it would be seen for what it is, which is utterly selfish and totally self-centered. And self tries to disguise that at every turn. But what would me be if not self-centered? The whole sense of self is the sense of being centered.
You're right. It's like it's running interference for its own programming.
Yeah, I mean, in a very simplistic way, all we're talking about is seemingly going from the illusion of being centered in myself, somewhere inside here. So if you ask kids, I used to do this with kids at school, I'd ask them to point to themselves, and most kids would point in their chest, to their heart, really. And then some kids would point to their head. And it's just interesting that, but of course, where am I? I'm inside somewhere. I don't know where, but I'm inside here somewhere, trapped inside. And that's the illusion. There's no one inside.
That's funny. There's a story of these children that live on a deserted island. They've never seen a mirror. And they were asked by someone to draw self-portraits. And one drew a tree, one drew the moon, one drew a mountain, one drew a stream.
Oh, yeah.
Without those mirrors, we wouldn't even have come up with this idea that I'm walking around.
Do you know, I don't believe that. I think that's a fairy tale, that story. I reckon the sense of self doesn't rely on a physical image at all. I don't think you need a mirror. I don't think you need, I just think it's natural. It's just how human beings have evolved, that around 1.5 years old, this contraction into feeling inside rather than how naturally life is, which is just everything. And there's, without that boundary between me and life, there's not me and life, there's just life. I still think if you ask those kids, maybe if they drew themselves as an image of the moon. But if you asked where they were, who, point to yourself, they wouldn't point to the moon.
Yeah.
I think they'd still point. Yeah, I don't know.
Ask a blind person from birth where they are.
Yeah. Yeah, they'll point to their body, won't they?
Mm-hmm. I would guess.
I guess, yeah. I don't know. I guess so. Sorry, who is that?
Oh, Lynette.
Hi, Lynette. Thanks.
Hi. I just lost the visuals of you, but anyway, I'm here.
Can you see me?
Nope, but
I can see you.
I'll get you back. When I spoke, I disappeared, so which is good.
All right, let me just.
It's okay.
Did you just let Art in, Darren? Yeah.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay. All right, we've got 5 minutes. Has anybody got any questions they'd like to ask before we finish?
Hey, Tim.
Hi, Art.
Since Darren just let me in and we've only got 5 minutes, maybe I should just say hi to you. Hey.
Yeah, lovely. Hi to you too. Congratulations on your Nothing conference gig you've got coming up.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Do you want to plug that now?
Well, I wasn't trying to unmute myself to plug something, but sure. Why not?
So well, I'll just introduce you. So Art has been, if you saw anything of the Nothing conference with Noel and Emerson, who put that together, and my friend Julie, who helped me put the book together, she's doing a lot of work with them as well. And Art is now it's your turn, Art.
Yeah, so there's going to be these Friday, I guess, evening over there across the pond where you are, and that I think it's at noon my time here in Texas.
Yeah.
So every other Friday there's going to be some kind of group discussion that I'm just going to be the host and moderator for.
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah. So.
Well, thanks for saying hi, Art. Yeah, so look out for that. If you want the details, just go to nothing.com.
I believe so, yeah. Just look up Nothing Media on
Nothing
Facebook.
Media.
Nothing Media on Facebook, and that should, have all the latest news.
Oh, well, thanks, Art. That's great.
Is it up there yet? Because I looked today and I didn't see that up there.
Oh.
Is it advertised yet, Art?
It might not be advertised just yet. I think it's gonna start, I think it's gonna begin on December the 18th. So they'll probably update. I'll ask Emerson about it, and the details should be up there in the next week.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe I looked on a different section, but yeah.
Oh, lovely. Oh, well, thanks for saying hi, Art.
Yeah, cheers.
Nice to
Tim.
see you.
Good to see you.
And you. I'll do a little plug. I worked with Dimitri on my website today, so the meetings will now be on my website, so you can go straight there. So, and you can tell anyone else if they want details of meetings now. There's a new page for events, and also if you were interested in having a one-to-one session with me, you could say a private Zoom session, then you can book those on the website now as well. So Dimitri did that today. That's the website is called Deafening Silence. If you haven't had a look at it yet, just go and have a look, because I think I'm still in awe of it, that I've got a website that's so beautiful, because Dimitri has done an amazing job on it. And I think, yeah, it's just worth a visit anyway. And all the videos are on there. Some writing, and he's shown me today, although it will take me a bit of practice. So I'm going to put some more written work on there as well. He was showing me today how I can do that. But I've forgotten, but Kelly probably hasn't.
And the URL is timclissthis.com.
Yeah. Tim Cliss this. Tim Cliss says this too much.com. Tim Cliss shit about this.com. And any other ones that you can think of. So lovely to see you all. Thanks very much for coming. I'm really glad you probably noticed that I've used this site called Bitly to so that there's no mention of Zoom or anything else. It seems to be working, and you all found it okay. So thanks to Peter Picorni, he knew that was a good way to try and evade some Zoom bombers. And we're going to call it a success, because we haven't had any today. So that's all good. And I really appreciate you all coming after being horrified last Thursday. But you know, anything can happen. You've heard it enough times. Yeah.
Tim, I was reading your book on page 134. You talk about wankers.
Well, the thing is, Scott,
go to page 134.
The thing is, Scott, if you haven't noticed yet, there's a hell of a lot of them about. Yeah, there's a lot of wankers about. Yeah. Oh, great news. This is because I've been plugging this for a long time as well, haven't I? There's 25-star reviews of this Deafening Silence on Amazon. Yo! No, I'm so chuffed. I messaged Julie straight away, because she's just been nagging me to say, you just need to get 25-star reviews, and then it goes, well, it goes into stellar orbit then. I don't know where it's headed now. Somewhere special. Anyway, thanks everyone who's given a review.
Thank you very much, Tim. Good night.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Tim.
Thanks, Tim.
Bye.
Take care, everyone.
Ciao.
Thanks, Tim.
Bye, Tim.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
What are you saying, Darren?
I was going to say, we need to get some T-shirts made, Tim. Like maybe
Merch.
Cliss is it, or just Cliss?
Oh, this is it. That is great. Ciao.
Right, Darren, I do those jokes. You know, we agree with this, that you can't do any of those Cliss jokes. I've already copyrighted all of those, you bastards.
How about nobody special?
Right. Bye-bye.
Oh, Kelly just said, give Tim some money.
Yes.
Okay, we will do
Okay.
it.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.